All right, diving right in today, we're tackling music therapy and autism. Looks like you've sent over some really interesting research, even a bit from the Autism Music Therapy Framework book.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to unpack here.
For sure. For a long time, people have been unsure how music affects individuals with autism, but research is starting to clarify why it seems to work so well.
Right, we're moving past the idea that just listening to classical music is going to make a huge impact.
So it's not just about the Mozart effect.
No, not at all. It's about a much more structured therapeutic approach using music to help people.
Okay, so then why does music work so well for people with autism? We all like music, but it seems to be especially powerful here.
Well, one of the big reasons is how music uses the brain's mirror neuron system.
And those are the neurons that fire when we watch someone else do an action, right? Like they help us with social interaction and stuff.
Exactly.
So being involved in music therapy helps strengthen those mirror neurons for people with autism.
That's the idea, but there's more to it than that. Music also helps with something called neural synchronization.
What's that?
It's where different parts of the brain start working together, firing more in sync. And that leads to good things like better attention or communication skills.
Hmm, that's super interesting. And speaking of working together, one of the articles you sent talked about the autism music therapy framework and how important predictable patterns are.
Oh, yeah, that's key. See, a lot of people with autism have sensory processing issues. The world can feel really overwhelming, but music can be an anchor. It's predictable, it's safe.
Makes sense. It
Yeah.
really seems to work. One of the research papers you sent found something like 76% of participants had better communication skills after music therapy, and over 80% were better with social interaction.
And those aren't just anecdotal stories. More and more research is showing how effective music therapy can be for people with autism. And we're talking about improvements in tons of areas, from how they communicate to how they behave.
Okay, so we know it works, but what does music therapy actually look like? What kinds of things do therapists actually do with their patients?
A lot of them use interactive music making.
So like playing instruments together.
Yes. Or singing, or even moving to music in a structured way. It can be really great for encouraging communication and helping people build relationships.
I can see how that would work, sharing the experience of making music together.
Hmm.
What about those sensory processing challenges we talked about? How does music therapy help with those?
Well, there's a technique called therapeutic listening. Therapists use carefully chosen music, often with calming rhythms, to help regulate sensory input and reduce anxiety.
That's really cool. I love how music can be used in so many different ways. And I bet it's not just limited to a therapist's office, right?
Oh,
Families and teachers could use music to help too.
of course. And that leads to another question. How can people with autism and the people around them use music in their daily lives? That's something we should definitely dig into.
For sure. I'm really excited to explore those possibilities, so let's get to it.
Well, one simple thing is to use music to create predictable routines. Like you could have a specific song that always plays when it's time to clean up or get ready for bed.
Oh yeah, I bet that would be super helpful, especially for kids who have trouble with transitions.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there. You can use music for learning, too.
Really? How?
You can use songs to teach new things or add rhythm to movement breaks, or even just play calming music during quiet work time. It can make a big difference.
That makes sense. You know, one of the papers you sent talked about a little boy who was nonverbal, but whenever he heard certain music, he would just light up and start moving to the rhythm. Like music gave him a way to express himself when he couldn't use words.
That's a great example of how music can help people communicate and connect in ways they couldn't otherwise. It really shows how music therapy isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. Everyone's different, and they need different approaches.
So if someone wants to try music therapy, what's the first step?
The most important thing is to find a qualified music therapist who specializes in autism.
Okay, so someone who really knows what they're doing.
Right. They can figure out what the person needs and create a plan just for them. They can also work with families and other professionals to make sure everything goes smoothly.
That makes sense. And this isn't just for kids, right? Adults can benefit from music therapy too.
Absolutely. It can be helpful for people of all ages. From little kids to seniors, the goals might change over time, but the benefits of music stay the same.
It's amazing how much music can do. What are some of the most exciting new things happening in music therapy right now?
There's a lot going on. Technology is playing a bigger role than ever before.
Oh, like what?
There's virtual reality, interactive apps, even wearable devices that can measure how people react to music. These tools could completely change how we do music therapy.
Wow. That's incredible. But with all this technology, we can't forget about the human connection, can we? It's that bond between the therapist and the person, the shared love of music, that really makes it work.
You're absolutely right. Technology is a great tool, but it can't replace the human element. Music therapy is all about connecting with people and helping them express themselves through music.
This deep dive has been so eye-opening. We've learned so much about how music therapy works and how it can help people with autism. It's clear that music is more than just something nice to listen to. It can really make a difference in people's lives.
And remember, this is just the beginning. There's still so much more to discover about the connection between music and autism.
We've seen how powerful music can be for people with autism. So now it's your turn. How can you use music in your own life or in the lives of people you care about? Maybe create some personalized playlists for different moods or activities, or even try learning a new instrument together.
The most important thing is to be open to the possibilities. Pay attention to what kinds of music make you feel good, what helps you relax or connect with others. Music is a language everyone can understand. It can bring people together and help them grow in amazing ways.
That's a great point. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into music therapy and autism. We hope you've enjoyed learning as much as we have. I keep thinking back to that research paper about rhythmic activities and motor skills. It mentioned a study with drumming circles for kids with autism.
Yeah, that one was fascinating.
I was amazed that they showed so much improvement, not only in, rhythm, but in their overall coordination and motor control.
It makes sense, though. Music can work on a bunch of different levels at the same time. You have the rhythmic patterns helping with movement, and then the social part of playing music together adds even more benefits.
Definitely. It's almost like a workout for the whole brain and body. And it really makes you realize how much potential music has. Remember those stats we talked about with all the improvements in communication and social interaction?
Oh, absolutely. Those numbers are pretty impressive. But it's important to remember that each person with autism is unique, and their experience with music therapy is going to be unique too. It's all about finding what works best for each individual.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listener takes away from all this?
I think the most important thing to remember is that music is so much more than just sounds. It's a way to connect with people, to communicate, and to feel good. It doesn't matter if you're a parent or a teacher or a therapist, exploring music can open up a whole new world of possibilities for people with autism.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to bring this deep dive to a close. We've covered so much ground today, from the science behind music therapy to the real-life ways it's being used to help people.
It's been a great conversation.
It really has. And we hope you've enjoyed listening and learning as much as we have. Until next time, keep the music playing.